Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with our very special guests, Emily Iland and Tom Iland. They are a mother-son team that have written a great book that's about to be available on July 1st. It's called Come to Life, Your Guide to Self-Discovery. Is that the whole title? And I had an opportunity in the last week to get a pre-look at the book and work through some of the exercises with my son. And I'm telling you, this is no surprise to me, but I find it absolutely amazing. I think it's a wonderful tool that anybody who has a kiddo who's on the spectrum, we've said already 12 and up, you really need to get this book. I think it's going to open your mind in a lot of different ways. We were just talking about during the break that one of the things that's really different about this book is that, as you said, Emily, this is not a mom, because we can talk, right? Heaven knows we can talk. That's not what this book is about. It's full of great resources, as any book that you would write, it would be, Emily. But this book is full of your voice, Tom.
Yes, it is. In fact, with this book, what's unique about it is it offers both worlds. You have me talking to young people, helping them know themselves, love themselves, and be themselves. And then there will also be some feedback from her, because this is actually the first of 2 volumes of Come to Life. The first volume is me talking to the young people. The second volume will be her talking to the parents and the professionals.
Which is amazing. It's not as if you're completely absent from this book. You're there with some tips and some things to keep in mind, because I think that's essential too. We're a part of this.
Yes.
And I think for me as a parent, what I have been able to see in books in this area, there's either a book from somebody who's on the spectrum, which I totally appreciate because I love hearing the point of view, but I don't always see how to implement that with what I know, right? And you give that to me.
With what you're living.
Right.
Because it's not a personal account or a history. It's what we've learned along the way.
Yeah.
And things we think that could help other people. So we have the know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, which is so neglected. And then we expect people to go out in the world and self-advocate and manage their lives, but they can't because they're still conflicted about these things and they've never resolved.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we teach is, you haven't gotten to this part yet, is called Explore, Experience, Evolve. It's E to the 3rd power. And what it is we've got to give our young people the opportunity to experience life.
Yeah.
So they know what they like and don't like, because it's too hard for them to imagine. They've got to get their hands dirty. They've got to get out there.
Their feet wet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hands dirty, feet wet.
See it and feel it. Experience things like Tom did it, and we describe all of the jobs he had in the movie industry before he ended up in accounting. But he needed that journey and that process to say, that doesn't work. I love this. I'm comfortable here. And we're neglecting that, especially for kids who are on a diploma track.
Yeah.
They are just out the door if they have their academic credits, and they're not getting the life experience to help them be successful in the next phase of life.
I really, as I said, my son's about to be 14, and there are certain things, he's about to start high school, and we've had a lot of things coming up lately about, there's more choices at the moment than there were before, and we've worked hard for there to be choices. So, but I see that he gets stuck sometimes, and that I don't quite know what to do. Now, you guys start out in the book, and I love the fact that you take some time always, Tom, and you share your story and things that have helped you, and then it comes to an exercise. And you share the exercise as you have done it, and there are things that you've written down that we can see, a lot of tables and things to fill things in, and there's pictures so that the kids are engaged. But we get to see what it was like for you, and then there's the exercise for the kiddos to do, and a lot of times there's a place for somebody, the sidekick, as it were, to do as well. And one of the things that in the beginning, when I sat down with my son and I said, we're going to do this together, and he said, I don't want to, which I don't think is unusual at all. And I said, we're just going to do a couple of things, and let's see how it goes. And one of the first things that there was an exercise, who are you? And you had said to put 90 seconds on the clock, and to just one person sits there and says, who are you? And the other person answers it for 90 seconds. And I remember thinking, okay, 90 seconds is a really long time, and what are they thinking? Sometimes my son has a hard time coming up with words. 90 seconds, it's a long time where he's gonna get stuck and he's not, I mean, like, I was saying no to the exercise. But just like I had said to him, we're just gonna try it, we're just gonna do it. And I said, I'll do it first, because I thought I better model it for him. And we got to laughing because some of the things that I said, and he was like, "What? You're what?" Because you say, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Jem's mom." And he said again, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Jim's wife." And then we started talking. You know, I started answering other things that were coming up from other places because you got 90 seconds, and we started to laugh. But by the time the 90 seconds was done, I realized he knew things about me that he hadn't known because I'm his mom. You know. So then it was time to turn the tables on him, and I was amazed. Because of the 90-second timeline, and because I had modeled it, he was able to pull words up that about himself that I had not heard, and things that I don't think he had vocalized. And I say to you, I think it was life-changing because I stopped thinking of limitations about what was possible. He stopped thinking about that, and suddenly he was like, what's the next one? What's the next exercise to do?
Great.
Right?
And that's awesome that he was able to be more open and wanting to know more, and that you were able to go the full 90 seconds. Some people may have to adjust it to 60 seconds. But I first found out about that exercise when I went on this health and wellness retreat that changed my life. The key behind this exercise is to get rid of some of those material items, like one of the questions being, what do you want? I want a lot of money. What do you want? As you answer the questions more and more often, you start to get rid of the material, the stuff that really doesn't matter in life. Think of it as peeling layers of an onion. Once you really get to the soft core of what really matters most, then you start to realize, oh my gosh, I've had like a major breakthrough or an epiphany. I want to dedicate my life to this, this, and this, or I want to do this because I love it so much. And you never really take the time to ask yourself or have somebody ask you those questions.
What you can discover in 90 seconds, you can dig
really
deep.
Amazing. And I found myself thinking, oh, I want him to do this with his dad. Like, I think it would be good for him to go through this with his dad, right? And then from there, you know, there's a theme in the book about superheroes. And I think what a great vehicle for kids to relate to what their strengths and weaknesses are. I thought that was quite brilliant. And you go through and pick a superhero. For you, it's Batman. And you talk about, there's a chart about all these things that Batman has at his disposal. But one of the things that I thought was particularly heartwarming to me as a parent was there's a whole section about what your assets are and who's on your side.
Your allies.
Your allies. That's the word. And, you know, kind of your sidekicks and how are they useful. Because I do see a lot in our neurodiverse world that there are camps of people that tend to get very frustrated, and I don't think inappropriately so, at parents. There are a lot of adults who are on the autism spectrum who wish that all autism parents would go away. And I think sometimes they're right. We hover too much. My son will tell you that. I imagine that your mother has hovered too much at some point.
Yes.
It is our job to hover too much, I believe. But, you know, it's like, where do you make peace?
Well, you know, a lot of people resist help because, like Tom used to say, if I need help, then that means I'm stupid. Well, you've got to overcome that because everybody needs help.
Right.
So we have to resolve that defensiveness or anxiety over having people involved in your life and know what an asset it is to you to have this available support.
Yeah.
And that your parents love you and advocate for you the best they can.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're trying to help you at this point in your life, too.
Yeah. And I thought that having that explained through a superhero was singularly genius, because that I believe that because that makes it okay. You know, I had said to them earlier that when I said to my son when it was his turn and I said, so pick a superhero, and he's like, oh, I'm not good at this. I don't want to pick. I don't have a favorite. Don't do this to me. I don't want to play anymore. I had to give him some examples. We happen to have a superhero bathroom that has a shower curtain with superheroes across it, and I started listing the superheroes, and I got to Captain America, and he was like, okay, Captain America will be leave me alone, I just want to pick one. But once we got into talking about what his assets were and who his allies were, and relating that back to when it was Jem's turn to say who his allies were, that it put parents in the category of being like the Hulk. I'm there if you need me. And
Hopefully not angry all the time.
well, there is a little bit of that, right? But that suddenly I saw that sort of arrange something in him to say, I do have people in my corner. Sometimes Captain America does it on his own, but sometimes he'll go, hey, Hulk, take care of that. Or sometimes he doesn't even say, hey, but Hulk takes care of something for him, and he's deeply appreciative of it, instead of saying, I could have done that on my own, right? It just it cast it in a different light.
And it actually is part of a process, because the first activity is who's your superhero. The last activity of the book is you can be the hero in your own life. And they explore in the ways they are heroic, the assets they have, the talents they have, the vision they have, the allies they have, and what they want. What is their mission? That's what the book, it takes them from thinking about someone else as a hero to thinking about being the hero in their own life, so that when they then come to the transition meeting in special education or any kind of life planning, they have answers instead of sitting at the table saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which happens if this process of self-discovery is not, embraced.
This is an important book. Tell them where they can get it on July 1st.
On July 1st, go to www.thomasisland.com.